Well, I mean, yes, I can change things like, you know, change my view here and, you know.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, okay. So you're right. Yeah, I could do that in that sense. I was thinking of physically zooming the camera, although I guess it's not physical.
Yeah. I'm working with virtual. I'm working with virtual sets and trying to find one. I'm going to do a demo of like a weekly little newscast for the company and see if I can sell that.
Yeah, those virtual sets are a little cheesy, the ones they give you in vMix.
Yeah, that's why I've been out there trying to find a better one. I mean, you know, they've run from $29 up to about $750. So
there are just so many things that you could do in these programs that it's like you could just spend weeks just playing.
Now, Dan, are you using OBS or slobs?
I'm using OBS. Very nice, your background, Chip. It's very, I mean, you're very sharp now. I mean, obviously.
For the amount of effort I put into it, I hope so.
Yeah, no, it looks nice.
Thank you.
Dan, were you the one with the great idea of taking a picture of your office while it's clean and then using that as your background?
That's actually this.
Yeah.
So this is not my, this is just a picture of my background.
That's what I mean. It's when it was clean.
Exactly. And when that plant that's right over my shoulder, when that plant was actually alive. Because today it doesn't look so good.
You don't want to take a picture today?
Dan, ever since you proposed that I include streaming in the presentation at IABC, I've been collecting articles about the advance of this. Yesterday, I found Discord is rebranding to shift away from gaming.
Yep.
That was one. Instagram has added a live donation feature for their Instagram Live. L'Oreal Group bets on live stream shopping in North America.
It's pretty incredible what's happening.
Hey, Neville. Oh, you're muted.
You never sounded so good.
God. Yeah, it amazes me when I do that.
Oh, I do.
How
it
is
all the
everyone?
time.
Everyone good? I hope so. Holiday in America tomorrow?
Yes, it is.
Living the dream.
Hey, Neville, did you get the email from Instagram? Is it Instagram?
No, not Instagram. No.
Hang on, let me make sure I have this right. No, I'm sorry, Flipboard.
Oh, sure. I've not had time to respond to it yet, but that was really nice of Christelle to do that.
Yeah, it really was. I almost deleted that thinking it was spam and decided to open it.
Has anyone used Flipboard storyboards?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think of it, Chip?
I think it's okay. I mean, I don't use Flipboard as much as I used to.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't been contributing to it because I don't read it.
Yeah.
My issue with Flipboard was I didn't really like the recommendations. It was very repetitive in what it was suggesting.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it in the last edition of FIR a couple of weeks ago, because I was not playing with it because I've not used it, but I've seen a number of people using it and I was curious about it. So Flipboard reached out to Shellnag. Obviously they did. They heard the podcast, listened to it. They sent us an account to try it out. So that's good outreach, I thought. No expectation, no ask for anything. Just
we didn't
try
ask.
it out.
We didn't know they'd be listening.
No, and they do. They listen to the podcast. That's good to know. So
Dan, do you actually have a green screen, or is that just?
Yes. In fact, if I shift to here, if I shift to another view, there we go.
Ah, okay.
Or I could do this.
Oh, and Dan, I should ask if you got my email asking if we could move the test we're doing later today an hour.
No.
Hour later.
Okay. Yes, that'll work.
Great.
Overhead, Dan. I like that.
Yeah, playing with different cameras to do different things.
Wow.
You can.
Where is that camera mounted?
It's up here. Well, not that you would see.
It's up here, really.
It's up there. It's up there.
I mean, is it hanging from the ceiling?
No, I have. I'm looking up. I have a main screen, and then I have another screen above it, and then I have a third screen off to the side. So it's on the top of the.
Oh, I see. Okay.
In fact, I could do this. Wait, watch. Ooh. There we go. There we are. Along with another light. So yes, we could have far too much fun playing with lights and cameras and everything else.
Yeah, a lot of those virtual sets do have the ability to do what they do on the news shows where you turn and.
Yeah, my big accomplishment on the live streaming side was I finally figured out how to do something from the computer sound, have that go into streaming out onto Twitch. Because it's not on a Mac, it's not as simple as on a Windows where you can just add the computer's audio into OBS or Remix or whatever else. There's something funky with the way the Mac architecture is underneath things, whatever. You can't easily do that. And so I had a duh moment when it was like, wait a minute, this microphone right here, well, not that you can see it there, but that microphone right there is hooked into a USB audio port that has 2 ports. So let's just do a mix minus. Yeah. So I grabbed I just took good old, let's go back to the old school way, right? Take this, plug it into the headphone jack of the iMac, and send the audio stream into my USB port to send it back into the iMac to then go out in the streaming. But it worked great.
Yeah. So, and I may be months behind you guys, but have you seen a thing called Black Hole for Mac?
No.
It replaced a previous one. It lets you redirect audio anywhere.
It's called
including
Black
multiple
Hole?
streams. Black Hole. It's free, open source. I spent many hours on it last week trying to get the audio from a YouTube video into text so I could make a caption out of it, which turns out better than letting YouTube do the translation itself.
Oh, virtual audio driver. Let's see, there we go. So there was another one that was very, very popular that people were downloading and installing, but it was like for an app called I Show You or Show You something or whatever. And, but the developers, with the newest version, they declined to make that audio piece available as a separate thing. It was only built into their product. Prior to that, it had been, you could use it. And so a lot of people were. So I have not checked this out. Virtual audio driver. Cool.
Yeah, it replaced a very popular one that chose not to go 64-bit and run in Catalina.
Oh, okay.
So somebody saw an opportunity and jumped in.
I had an email from Bill Spaniel telling us he has other commitments and won't join us today. And
all right, yeah, I've completely lost you, Shell, because I'm playing with this thing.
That's all right.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, that's right. I will park that and deal with that later. Yeah. But thank you, Tim, for that pointer, because that could be another nice thing. And when I'm doing stuff with my laptop, I will not have the audio system.
Speaking of streaming, got a notification from StreamYard, which is the streaming as a service that we use for FIR and for Circle of Fellows, that they have now finished all of the configuration to make it work on mobile. Not through an app, you just open it on the browser, and assuming you have strong enough bandwidth, you can stream to multiple locations using StreamYard from your phone or your tablet.
Hey, how was that service that you guys were going to try out for FIR or whatever?
Oh, Descript?
Yeah.
It worked great for a transcript. I actually included the transcript in the show notes for the last one. I wasn't able to get it to work for recording, so we used StreamYard again, and I submitted a ticket to Descript, and I got an answer. And it's kind of complicated, but I can make it work. I can pull that up. Neville, you may be interested in particular.
Okay.
Script support. The native computer audio feature in Descript is currently supported only on Mac OS systems. For remote recording on Windows using VB Audio's VB Meter software, you'll want to use the instructions outlined in the following Help Center article. So basically, we have to use virtual cables.
Mm-hmm.
And I did, it says how to record Windows computer audio into Descript is the article. So we'll try it for the next episode, see how it goes.
Virtual cables.
Well, virtual cables takes us back to the original earliest days of FIR. That was the only way we could record.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's too funny. So you have some solutions that, you know, work better on Windows, but not on Mac, and others that work better on Mac, but not on Windows. Here we are.
Yep.
But it's all moving Windows. But plus, with Intel,
lowercase Windows.
Macs are dead. Macs are dead. Bye Macs.
I
have a toy again.
I have a new machine coming, as a matter of fact.
Yes, I know. I'm excited to hear the specs.
That's right. You were in that thread. Yeah, I got to get the specs because I worked all this out with the guy who builds my machines in the shop. Also, Stefan Didek, that's Sally Getch's husband. Apparently, when he moved here from the Netherlands, he left his old computers behind, and I've referred him over to this shop, and he had maybe a dozen computers built by them. Steve Crescenzo was completely gobsmacked. He said, "You have computers built?"
Well, see, I build my own. Like,
yeah,
this one here is built. The one that's under the desk here is built. Got a few more in the basement. I just love building them.
It's just they're putting my new one in a box about the size of a shoebox. I want it to be portable.
Chip, but I used to build mine, but then I just, yeah.
I did the same. This is going back 25 years. I used to build them.
I never did.
But then I discovered Dell. I mean, you know, so there I am.
You can customize, like I put that blue fan in there just for the video.
Yeah, blue fan. I mean,
it's noisier than the fan that was in it.
That's right.
Well, it's a cool sound, right, Chip? I mean, it really is.
And that's a transparent panel on the side, so you can see in.
It is, yes. Yeah.
Now, mine's going to be about yay big, a little bigger than a shoebox, but it's going to have top of the line Intel processor, the latest greatest graphics card, all the RAM they can cram into it because they say that's real cheap right now. A 1 terabyte C drive, and I'm going to have them put my 2 terabyte D drive that's in this box in that one.
I'm hearing sound of Tim Allen in Home Improvement here, Shell. You realize that?
Well, the goal of this is not only to have faster processing for audio and video when I'm working here, and I do a lot of that for WebCore, but to be able to take it into the garage where I have my 6.5 by 6.5 square feet and be able to play Half-Life Alyx, which you have to be tethered to the computer to do, but it will work with the Oculus Quest.
Have we got a good chair to go with it?
This is standing and walking and moving. So.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Neville, looks like you have a good chair there.
I got a great chair. Secret Labs. There you go. It's a really good one. It's the most comfortable seat I've sat in at a desk in decades, I would say. No more lower back pain. Completely gone here.
Gaming chair, right?
It's a gaming chair. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what do those go for? I mean, are they more expensive than an office chair?
I mean, this was £450, wow. So it's about $500 and something. But they make them in Napa leather, in which case you're paying $700-800 upwards, and they've got so many designs and logos and brands of gaming, and they sponsor some of the big gaming tournaments. But you got to try one, and it's truly extraordinary. It took from order to delivery in the middle of the lockdown, I would say 2 months. And if you go to the website now, they're looking at deliveries from September, October onwards. Wow. Yeah.
So they make them to order.
What sold it to me was a simple phrase. Their kind of pitch, their sales pitch, designed for people who sit for hours in front of a computer screen. And of course, playing games. But I've ignored the playing games bit. So I thought, hey, that's me, you know. So, but it replaced my 5-year-old IKEA office chair.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, what a difference, I tell you.
And this is a Staples office chair.
Yeah, probably made by IKEA, I bet.
I would have thought you guys would be going with SSD memory by now.
SSD memory, gosh,
A
Tim.
solid state drive.
Yeah, I don't have a hard drive. My previous computer didn't. It's wonderful. It generates no heat.
Yeah,
Notice
I've
you got a
that.
fan there, Neville.
I got that. Well, I got that in my latest Dell, which I bought a year and a half ago, because you can customize these. I got two SSDs. One's the boot drive, and one's for everything else. And from turn on, this is a Windows machine, right? Turn it on to a fully functioning desktop. Oh, I'd say 11 seconds probably. So it's very fast. Of course, it depends on what you got running and all that other factors, but it's dead quiet. No fans.
The 1 terabyte C drive in my new box is SSD.
Yeah.
And then the 2 terabyte, which is my data drive.
It's amazing how the prices have dropped. I mean, I bought a portable Samsung SSD, 500 gigabytes, as a carry around with essential stuff on or stuff I want to use, because I do not like OneDrive and some of these cloud products. I don't really like them very much. So I'd rather keep some stuff local, but removable. And these things are amazing, the manufacture, but the what they can now do that you don't imagine, the speed with which they can read and write and that kind of thing. Because I'm talking Windows, they got a few tricks to use them on a Mac. So maybe there's disparity in platforms. I don't know, but it's definitely, you know, the days when mechanical drives were, you know, I've got I've forgotten the brand actually. I think it's a Western Digital 350 gig portable mechanical drive. And I've never noticed it before until I got this one. You can actually hear the platters spinning in this thing. I mean, it's, you know, but they were great. In fact, they're pretty good still, those things. I mean, you can buy, you know, most computers still come with mechanical drives, right? 1-2 terabyte hard drives, and they're pretty cheap compared to SSD still. But that's the way it's all going.
NVMe, which makes SSDs look slow.
Oh, so. NVMe. What's that? What's that chip?
NVMe is
NVMe
memory.
Right, yeah, non-volatile, yeah, okay,
so those are about 6 times as fast as a regular SSD.
And how expensive?
6 times.
No.
Twice.
Maybe 50% more. I mean, it depends on the size, and there's different classes of it and all that, but it's more expensive, but it's not insanely expensive.
Right. Oh, well, that's good. More expensive, but not insanely expensive.
I just looked it up, and it says NVMe SSD.
Yeah, it's
still a solid state drive.
Yeah.
Right, although it looks very different. It looks like a memory card.
Right.
But with
yeah, here's
on the end.
Here's a 1 terabyte Western Digital for $129.
Yeah.
So who's going to coin the frame wearable mainframe?
That sounds a bit cheap, Shell. What was that price again?
I'm checking. Yeah, here's a Toshiba, 1 terabyte NVMe, 150 on Amazon.
Whoa, that is very cheap. Yeah.
Yep.
Good.
But you also have to have a system that supports it. So
right.
Because SSD you can connect through SATA, NVMe can't.
Yeah, that's always the issue, right? I want to upgrade this. Well, your main board can't handle that.
Right.
Oh, well.
But this main computer that I'm on, this computer I built in 2014. So it's pretty old, but it's still my most powerful machine by far. And it's only had a few minor upgrades since then.
I can't even remember how long I've had the box that I'm on now. I've just noticed that when I'm processing video in Camtasia or some of the other tools I use, it grinds along, and I'm just ready for faster.
Yeah.
What do you use you use Camtasia, you said, for video editing?
I use Camtasia, yeah. Although it seems like everything I can do in Camtasia, I can do in vMix and more. So if I get better at it, I might try my hand at that.
Yeah, I mean, vMix is great for recording, so it's designed for sort of broadcast live stream, but it actually works very well for
Right.
standard recordings. You can't edit in it, though.
No, I
so-
figure what I could do is all the effects and everything that I can't
Right.
get in Camtasia, get through it, and then pull output into Camtasia.
Yep.
Because I know I'm not going to be perfectly smooth for, all 12 minutes.
Right.
Trying to talk and run the controls.
Right.
So just edit those glitches in Camtasia and
Yeah, it's tough when I do live stream. I don't focus on myself as much because I always forget to flip to myself. I'm
Right.
good with flipping to my guest, but I forget myself.
Dan, do you find that you're focused on what you're doing on OBS and forget
Oh,
to
sorry,
look at the camera?
I was talking to somebody else here. Sorry. The-
do you find that sometimes you have a hard time focusing, Dan? Yep, turns out the answer is yes.
I do. There we go.
As a
Boom.
matter of fact.
As a matter of fact, yes, I can anyway. All right. My daughter was just back and back from work and saying hello. So, and when an 18-year-old says hello, you talk.
Hey, believe me, when a 31-year-old says hello, that doesn't get better.
My 18-year-old's my intern, so he has to talk to me. I'm not sure he's
Sure.
enjoying it, though.
So I think what you were asking was when I'm live streaming, do I get distracted playing with knobs on obs
Yeah.
or something like that? Yeah. Yes, although I've gotten down to a pretty good pattern now because I've taken it upon myself just to try to do streaming every day for a few minutes anyway. And so I've gotten myself down to a pretty good system that works most of the time, except that the thing I'm trying to figure out now is that when I stream, I'm often streaming my main screen, but I put obs up on my upper screen. So I find myself, I'm looking up to go and tweak settings, like to change to a different view or to do something else. And so there's that happens to me.
Right.
And I've tried playing with it where I bring obs down into next to me, but then I can only show part of my screen. So I'm still trying to figure out, and I know there's keyboard shortcuts. I know there's all sorts of stuff I could do, and I could program up different buttons to do different things that could make it easier. But I don't know. I'm still working through some of that.
Yeah.
I was
I
gonna
don't-
say Stream Deck or X keys.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So yes, I need another toy to put on my desk.
Stream Deck?
Stream Deck, yes.
It's this thing with buttons on it.
Oh, it's
And-
like a physical.
It's a physical.
Yeah, hold on.
Okay. Do you have one, Chip? Of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
They
not
are
on
very
Vimeo, so this won't be
cool.
as smooth as usual, but it's.
I'm looking at one.
They're very cool tools.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so what do? You just assign
yeah, so you can,
actions to each button?
Yeah, and this one actually works with folders too. So I've got different setups for my different shows, but you can use it in other apps as well. And when I've got vMix running, it actually will show a tiny snapshot of the camera on here, so I can
Wow.
see the view.
Wow.
So it's got
Interesting.
text, but I'll actually see my face or my guest's face, that kind of thing.
And it's
Wow.
only $150. I may order this before we're done
So
with this session.
Chip, what's the prime benefit you get from it?
So it basically it's short, so I don't have to pay much attention to my keyboard or my mouse when I'm switching during a live stream.
Got it.
So I can switch camera angles on it. I can add lower thirds, remove lower thirds, throw up a
That's
promo,
cool.
throw up the end screen, all that kind of stuff. So it just makes it a smoother production since
Yeah.
it's tough to produce and be the host at the same
Is
time.
it USB?
It is, yeah.
That's sweet, Chip. I looked at those because oftentimes when I start mine, I'm starting at a wide view, and then I drop to a smaller view, and then I may go out to the wide. So sometimes depending on what I'm doing and what I'm talking about when I'm on there. And yes, my next goal was to learn the keyboard shortcuts, which I know are there in OBS. I've seen
Yep.
that you can do this stuff, and I just have to wire it up so that if I want to switch to that angle, it'll do it.
It says Available July 8th on Amazon. So people have been snatching them up.
You can also check the Elgato website directly.
Yeah, GameStop has them of all things.
Yeah.
But
So that's
Elgato ships from San Francisco, so it would probably come very quickly to you.
Yeah, also free pickup at other stores.
I'm looking at Amazon UK, and they got them for delivery tomorrow if I order within the next 3 hours. Stop! Don't do it! Don't do it! Hey, but I can get it tomorrow.
You can get it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to play. I was
Why did you get squished, Chip? What did you change?
Oh, I'm trying to open vMix.
Oh,
So, but it's not happy. I think it's fighting for the camera right now.
gotcha.
And in the meantime, it squished you. Is that?
I don't know. I can't see Zoom right now because
Oh,
vMix
okay.
has taken over my whole system.
Well, you've shrunk or squeezed.
Well, I've been trying.
Yeah, me too.
Whoa, that is. Now I can see myself, and that's very unfortunate.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I found
it's a very slim chip.
it took me a few minutes to figure out why that happened to me in vMix. It turned out that it was the settings for the camera. I had to go find an aspect ratio that it worked with.
Nice fan in the background there, Neville.
Yeah, I got that the other day. Actually, it's got 12. I'll give you the tech spec: 12 speed settings, and 5-blade fan, and a remote control. And this is currently running on setting 1, which is a very gentle movement of the air. It's totally silent.
Nice.
Still
And
hot over there?
Yeah, well, in my office it gets pretty warm with all the equipment in here,
Right.
but I just tend to like cold weather a lot, and I find all this too warm. So yeah, it's quite nice. Plus, it looks quite good as a background, doesn't it?
I'm with you. I have always found that it's easier to layer up and get warm than to continue to take things off to get cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm in a smaller, maybe it's a 10 by 10 office or something, a room that's closed except for the window. It's over here. But
yeah, I'm similar.
The air conditioner, I've got to run the air conditioner, but I can't run it when I'm doing this. Right. So it's like I cool it down and then I do a recording or something and then I turn it back on, or a meeting. You may have noticed, Neville, sometimes I'll mute myself in the middle of a meeting or something and I'll be on mute for a while. And it's because I'm trying to cool down
That's the reason. Yeah. Of course, you guys have air conditioning. We don't have, no one here has air conditioning because we never normally need air conditioning in private houses. So, our houses are built for insulation. I've got cavity wall insulation with fiberglass cladding everywhere. And it's wonderful in the winter whenever we get temperatures below 0, which isn't that often these days. So, there we are.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, my father-in-law lived in a house on Coronado Keys in San Diego County off of Coronado Island in a gated community, ridiculously expensive house, and none of the houses there had air conditioning. So there were maybe 3 or 4 days a year where it got so hot that they would need to open the windows to get the cross breeze between the ocean and the bay. So,
tough
all
life.
they ever needed. Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah.
So what's everybody doing among the Americans in the crowd for the 4th?
Pretty much the same thing we're doing on the 3rd and the 2nd. And
That's
the 1st.
right. Do you get the Disney Plus?
No.
They are releasing Hamilton tomorrow.
Oh.
What's Hamilton?
Hamilton, the stage show. The 11 Tonys.
I've never heard of it.
It's based on Ron Chernow's book. It's Juan Lin Miranda was the writer and starred in it on Broadway. It was a big hit. We had tickets to see it about a week after the lockdown. Got canceled. But this is filmed at the Richard Rodgers Theater on Broadway during a live performance. Actually, I think it was filmed during like 5 live performances. They were going to release it theatrically next year, but given what's going on, they decided to put it up on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
so we'll probably sit indoors and watch.
I mean, for us, well, I mean, for all of us, right? It's like we can't. Well, here in Vermont, they canceled all of the fireworks shows,
Right.
the the big fireworks shows they typically have. You know, you can't gather for large gatherings. I mean, I guess you now technically can have, you know, you could have people over for a barbecue or something like that, but we're also just continuing to be super cautious. And so we're not doing things like that. So yeah, I mean, it's another weekend with so tomorrow I expect I will be sleeping because tonight my two daughters and I are going to a drive-in movie theater here to go see Harry Potter 3 followed by Harry Potter 4. But they don't start until 9 o'clock. And then like 11:15 or 11:30 for the other one. So we're like, we're probably out until, you know, 1 or 2 in the morning or something like that. So
yeah, we have a drive-in that we go to occasionally. Haven't been since all of this started because they're doing the same thing. They're pairing, you know, Star Trek and Star Trek Beyond, or Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, because they don't have new releases to run.
Well, you know, here in the UK, we don't have drive-ins. Can you imagine? I mean, typical weather in the UK, it's pissing with rain. So you're going to sit in the car park with your windscreen wipers going, watching a movie, right?
That's right.
So we don't have it. People associate them with kind of California, you know, nice warm weather, sunshine and no rain.
Texas,
convertibles,
Arizona.
With beautiful girls bringing you Cokes and things like that. That's how
No, you have to get out and go to the snack bar.
Oh, things have changed. My 50s vision has disappeared suddenly.
Right.
But, you know, there is one.
So you used to hang the speaker on your window. Right now you tune in by FM.
Yeah. But the nearest one, there is one that comes to mind. The nearest to me is 150 miles away. Wow. So I doubt I'll go. But actually, some cinemas are reopening, not this weekend, but the next weekend. But the notion of going to any enclosed space, I don't care what the government says, no.
I'm not doing it. But speaking of drive-ins, I just bookmarked this article today from CNN. Walmart is transforming 160 of its parking lots into drive-in theaters.
Oh, cool.
They'll run through from August through September. You know, we talked on the show, I think, about empathy and the fact that people are going to remember post-pandemic the organizations that did something to help. And I think that will do well for Walmart's reputation post-pandemic.
Yeah. That's cool. So no one said anything about Facebook, advertisers, boycotts.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, you know what, Shal? You know, you and I have mentioned many times on the show over the years when these things pop up. Nothing will happen with these platforms, with stuff like this, until the advertisers start pulling out.
Yep.
And I agree with that, although I think this is very different than what we've seen before. Because if you look at the numbers, I've seen lots in the Financial Times, Wall Street Journal, anyone who's got an opinion has got all this stuff about the top 25 advertisers who spend billions on Facebook account for less than 3% of their revenue. So most of the revenue, according to the Wall Street Journal yesterday I was reading, comes from the marketplace type businesses, which are small businesses who might feel, as the big enterprises do, and most others, a sense of outrage about what the hell's going on with these platforms. But they're not in a position to take ethical stands or do stuff that the big brands are doing.
Need to drive business.
So the cynical view is, of course, that this is going to be like before and nothing will happen. And indeed, you've probably read or heard about Mark Zuckerberg's speech to employees, where he said, allegedly, in a leaked audio, that they'll be back. They'll blink first and they'll always come back to the platform. So nothing will change. I think it's a pretty arrogant statement.
Yeah. It is, especially given, I saw this article yesterday. The headline is, the Facebook ad boycott is starting to rattle investors.
Yeah,
so
that was on
even
CNN,
if it's
right?
even if it's only 3% of their revenue, if investors start backing out and their stock price starts.
Well, that's the whole point, because some people, I was on a discussion on Twitter earlier this morning with a bunch of folks in the PR business who I know, and I'm the only one who is saying that this isn't enough. And they're very strongly, more than that, saying nothing will change at all. Nothing will change at all. And I'm wondering, is this is this actually looking at sentiment and looking at other things that are happening, the George Floyd killing, this whole Black Lives Matter movement, this non-profit campaign that's about hate and so forth? Are these elements that are kind of coalescing into some kind of tipping point, I wonder? Will anything actually happen? And what does that actually mean? Are we talking about what, regulatory interventions? I mean, look at Cambridge Analytica, and nothing really changed as a result of that, did it? So is this like a blip and nothing happens? Well, what do you reckon?
If I were to bet, I would say not much is going to happen. He just, Zuckerberg controls enough of the stock to prevent anything from dislodging
So that
him.
comes back to one of the other things we talked about, Sheldon, on the show over the recent episodes about until something happens with the leadership structure at Facebook, this kind of situation is unlikely to change, right?
Right. That's my guess.
Well, but I mean, I think there's a challenge too, because it's not clear to me what even the objective of some of the boycott is in specific. Right. And so without specific, measurable, okay, we've done this, so now this, it becomes very difficult to see how that actually affects change, right?
I think you're right, Chip. That's exactly it, because this boycott is not coordinated or integrated in any way. I mean, many of the big brands who said we're pausing our advertising have not officially signed up to this campaign to support it. And others are saying, well, we'll stop it in July. Some saying, well, maybe we'll stop it for longer, and only in the US or so it's not really organized, it seems to me. I mean, it's a noble gesture, and without doubt, the hate speech, the ugly behaviors, the weird people who engage in that kind of stuff on a platform like Facebook is not good to reasonable people. But is it going to change? This is the thing that I wonder. And what about all the other platforms? I've seen some commentary that this affects others, but that's all I've seen, not really any kind of groundswell of support. So it's hard to see what will happen with this, really.
Well, and the challenge is even, for any of these platforms, Facebook, Twitter, whomever, to actually, you're not going to be able to stop everything, right? No. And so you have to be careful. How do you come up with something that cuts back on it substantially without infringing upon things that maybe just some people don't agree with, but is not on the extreme end? I mean, it's really a tricky problem, and I do not envy any of these platforms trying to figure it out.
Right. No, I think that's a very good point. Very good point. Yeah.
Okay. And I do wonder, how much will the boycotts really affect? Because I have to think there's probably many others waiting to fill in that void for advertising. I mean,
well, what I've seen some comment that talks about advertisers are between a rock and a hard place, in the sense that there is no viable alternative,
right,
that readily appears to replace this. You don't have the reach,
issue,
the scale, and this is your only option. So these are noble acts by some of these brands. A cynical view would also say that some of these brands have not very clear agendas with what they're doing. Some are using this as a way to try and force the platform to make changes. And I did see a nice quote from Sheryl Sandberg on Friday, which did make me chuckle a bit, which is this kind of high kind of view that, we don't make policy changes based on revenue pressure. And I thought, okay, I've heard that before from executives. When they say that, they're rattled typically. So, but I think they might have to. I mean, even if it's a gesture. I did see something from Zuckerberg quoted, or maybe it was an old article, that users can now block political ads, or is that an old thing? I don't remember seeing anything about that before, but I saw that today, someone posting about it.
Yeah, there was they made some tweaks to those settings, but I think what you raised is the right question, which is that there isn't really any other great alternative.
There's not.
So if you want to do advertising, online advertising, and reach large quantities of people in some form, I mean, pretty much you've got Facebook, or you've got search advertising from Google, or Amazon.
It's a tricky
you've got your options are not tremendous, and Facebook provides that platform and that way to go and reach such a large volume that those brands may come. I mean, I applaud them for their principles and their stand that they're taking, but I guess I have two questions. One, how long can they sustain that before they will also want to reach those different groups? Although some of those brands have such enormous advertising budgets in all forms,
Yep.
you know, that they have many other channels to go and reach people. But the other part I wonder about is, you know, if they're not buying ads in some of those spaces, you know, will those ads still be purchased, right? Will other people be wanting to get in there that maybe they would have been outbid by those brands before, but will there still, you know, basically, is this truly subtracting revenue from Facebook, or is it just, you know, is that being filled in by others? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good perspective, I think. Is that it's a complex, to me, it seems a pretty complex picture for all the reasons that we've mentioned here. I guess part of it, what I see or think about when I read what others are doing or not doing even, is the noble act of many, the standing by principles on an ethical basis, and that's a pricey option for many others. So I don't see this at all having any positive outcomes whatsoever, basically, because it's, well, there's no, as you said, Chip, there's no real clarity with reasons for doing this, other than we want to stop this hate and stop this. I mean, that's
right.
Little Willie.
And most of us want to stop hate. The question is, how do you do it, and when do we know it's okay to come back?
Yeah.
And I saw a discussion earlier this week that, and I forget who said it, but you know, that they thought that the biggest thing to look at was not the big brands who are more focused on general branding, but those who are more focused on direct sales, because it's
right.
You know, those are the folks who they can't stay away for a long period of time because that's where the users still are.
Right.
And as long as that's where the users are, the ad money has to go after it. Otherwise, you're basically sacrificing your own business, which sounds noble, but nobody's going to do.
Right. That's a good point. Okay.
Although there is a shift in ad revenue going to streaming.
But it's a blip. It's
over,
not really
the over-the-top services. There's some big deals happening in with Roku, advertising through the Roku.
Right, but again, that's on the branding side. The folks who are selling direct to consumer.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, they don't. You can't do that through streaming. You can't do that. Through pretty much anything else except for right. But the users are still there. So until the users move, I don't think you have big change.
So I was mentioning earlier that I saw that L'Oreal is actually betting on live stream shopping in North America. I guess there's
like home shopping network type stuff.
But they're doing their own is the thing, using something like a vMix to go out on multiple channels.
Why not?
So that's a long game. If they build that infrastructure, that's somewhere away before that gets scale, I would say.
Yeah, here it is.
Somewhere, right?
The beauty industry is moving fast to incorporate shoppable live streaming into U.S. e-commerce. As Instagram Live currently doesn't have shopping capabilities, brands have been turning to other platforms to integrate shopping links into their live streams to connect content and commerce. Working with the shopping platform LiveScale, Urban Decay and Lancome held live streams on their Canadian sites. Many, including Urban Decay's US site and others, hosted these events after the quarantine. I'm looking for what channels they were on. TikTok's live streaming feature, Facebook Live, Instagram.
Well, I think the irony here is this brings us back to a discussion that we all had in the FIR community over a decade ago about walled gardens and building on your own platforms versus other.
One of Dan's favorite topics.
You talked about all the time.
We did. Yeah,
right?
You're right.
And you're really seeing the challenge here when you start becoming dependent upon a third-party platform, you know, a single third-party platform for a large percentage of what you do, you get in trouble if something goes wrong.
Yeah.
But I just don't see how a platform like Facebook would work in a public commons. What's the incentive to develop the costly tools that are going to attract and keep users?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and that's it. It's the investment the cost to go and do that and come up with those new tools, those new patterns, those new things, that's not typically something that we've seen, in, if you look at like email, for instance, is something standardized. SMTP, just regular email, is something that was standardized, used for everything else. But much of the innovation about different kinds of messaging and stuff like that, and or improvements to it or other stuff, that oftentimes evolved first in proprietary platforms, maybe later was brought over into the standardized space. But that innovation often happened in some other place like that.
Well, you have the situation too that when Facebook started, 2004, it kind of gained momentum about 2006, 7, probably 7. I joined in 2007, April, I think it was. But there was nothing else comparable to it that lets you do the things that you could and attract daily hundreds, if not thousands, of people joining it to see what all the fuss was about and connect with people. So a decade later, it's this mega corporation that has built out a business model that is truly extraordinary in terms of scale. I mean, what is it? 2.5 billion average daily users, or whatever the statistic is. It's, what is that? A third of the world's population. It's unevenly spread, of course. But the fact is that any device literally that can connect to the internet, essentially could access Facebook if you had the right tool on that device.
And every time I'm asked to leave Facebook as part of the protest, I have to stop. First of all, I can't, because it's a personal account that's required in order to use it for work. And my department is responsible for social media. But second, I mean, I have cousins I hadn't talked to in 20 or 30 years.
Similar.
That now I'm connected to on Facebook. I just sent a birthday greeting to my cousin Peter in Arizona that I had so lost touch with. But one of the other cousins on my dad's side had said, "Oh, Peter's on here too."
I mean, it's good for that kind of thing. I mean, I'm on Facebook. Default friends only is how I communicate my content. I rarely have it open to the public because every time I do that, I get weirdos commenting back on something. So I don't do it.
Hey,
so
don't call me a weirdo.
No, sorry. I started thinking, hang on, Chip was there. No. So it's that. And there is I see it all the time, as I'm sure you do. People I know announcing I'm leaving or I'm taking a sabbatical from Facebook because I've had enough and all this stuff, and they're back soon enough. I've done that a few times, except I just stop. I just don't go there for a bit. So there is something about the environment you find yourself in. It's not a pretty place some of the time, and that's down to, what is that down to? It's not the platform, it's the people. Is it not different to, you carry a gun, you pull the trigger, the gun doesn't do it itself, and so the platform doesn't do all this stuff, you do. So what does that say? I don't know, but it's funny. It's almost a phenomenon we are in society a decade later, maybe 15 years later, with all these online places that don't really offer anymore the kind of experience that we had when we started out there. That's how it seems to me a lot. I don't see it all as doom and gloom and ugly. I mean, it is in many ways, but not all. Otherwise, why would any of us be there? Even from a business point of view, never mind personal.
Well, I think the other thing that gets overlooked here is that all this stuff, this bad stuff that's going on social media, it's always been there.
Yeah.
And so to me, trying to get it off the platforms is not really the problem we need to be looking at. We need to be looking at the root cause of it and try to address that.
That's society, isn't it? That's
people
behaviors.
The root cause is because we've made it easy for everyone to come online. And when we have everyone coming online and getting involved with the platforms, we have every aspect of humanity, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Right.
Think about the Zoom bombing we had, Shell. That's a good example of nastiness.
Yeah. But in some ways, it's helpful to know that it's there, right? Because before we could be ignorant of it. Now we can't be.
No, you're right.
That's true.
I've been on a social network. I was invited to join. It was spun up by, I don't know if any of you guys know Shelley Palmer.
I've heard of him.
He's a marketer, marketing guy. He does a lot of keynotes, and I subscribe to his email newsletter, which is pretty good. But he started this social network called PGX Tech, and I was looking at it every day for a while and got busy and stopped. And today I got an email from him. Sure, it's a you know, just a template. He didn't write it just to me, but he said, I noticed you haven't been on the network in a while. Why don't you log back in? And if you don't want to, please tell me why. I like it. I'll show it to you. I just pulled it up.
Well, but even without seeing it, I can say, this is the challenge we've always had, right? Is how do you bring people to that conversation?
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I've tried, I've tried any number of these, right? We were on Ello for a while. We were on, pick your topic. I was on one that was the Wiki Tribune, WT.social for a bit,
Right. Yep. I remember that one.
All sorts of different kinds of things. The question is, how do you get the volume of people there? It's the directory. I called it the directory dilemma one time when I wrote about it, as far as how do you get those people that you want to have a conversation with in that place?
You've got to invest a lot of time and effort to do it, Dan, I think. And I don't tend to do that. I'm stuck on sort of like a handful of places. Ello, you mentioned, there was Mastodon and others. I've still got the accounts.
Mastodon's still out there, isn't it?
Yeah, I've still got the accounts, and I pop in now and again, but they've now kind of gone way beyond what it was the last time I was in there, making it even more unlikely I'm going to engage there. So, Twitter's still the #1 place I spend time on.
Well, and that's right. You build up your list of connections, because the challenge is not that you need to move to the platform. It's that everyone you communicate with needs to also be over there.
Right.
Or something like that. So, it's super hard. You can see that right now with the conservatives and the right-wing folks on Twitter and here in the US that are trying to make this move over to Parler.
Yeah, I've been reading about that. Yeah. I mean, it struck me as ironic for a kind of a xenophobic type of crowd in many ways that they have a platform with a French name and no one knows how to pronounce it correctly.
Yeah. Well, it's Parler. Come on, man. It's like you're
exactly.
going to a parlor.
To those guys, it's Parler. Yeah, exactly. I get that.
Exactly.
Parler or Parley like the pirates do and all that.
Is this because
those are all the guys I used to work with.
Is this because they're being bounced from Reddit?
No, it's because they complain about Twitter blocking conservative things and this and that. And so Twitter is no longer a bastion of free speech. And so they want to go somewhere where there's no censorship of their ideas and this and that. So a number of them are, and a number of US like Ted Cruz and some others are all like, promoting, hey, you can find me now over on Parler. And
I tell you, what I say is all of you, please go there. Go. Take the British crowd with you as well, please.
There is an element of that if you all left, then maybe it would be a little bit calmer here. But be that as it may, I think some of them, are going to find that it's great. They'll get their little echo chamber to move, but some of that may not stay there because the other people they need to talk to are back on that other platform.
Right.
Is this it? It says Parler connects people that want to talk about the same thing at the same time. It's like picking up the phone and calling a good friend.
That's it.
I don't know.
It's an app. It doesn't look like you can do this on your desktop.
I don't know.
Yeah, not logged in, so I haven't registered there, so I don't know.
No, I'm not.
Listen, guys, I got to go. I've overdone my time limit for.
There's only 5 minutes left.
Yeah, no, I got to run now because there's something I was supposed to be in 10 minutes ago. Yeah, I was supposed to be in something 10 minutes ago, so I'm in trouble now. So I got to go, and I'll see you all next week. Yeah, thank you.
Right.
Bye, guys. Have a happy weekend. George III Appreciation Society Day on 4th of July here, by the way. I have to remind you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. See you.
Always King George III Appreciation Day.
Our version of Brexit.
Exactly.
Amerexit or something. So there's it's the Wikipedia, but it's probably the site you're looking at. I don't know. But lately, a bunch of the Republicans have made a big deal about not Republicans, hard. Yeah, most of them have been Republicans, but more
far right.
Far right. Yeah, they've been complaining and saying they're going to go over here and have their own conversations over there. So, but then other people were pointing out that, in fact, Parler does censor content in some different ways. So it really comes back to whose content are you censoring?
Right.
Who's judging what are the appropriate community standards?
Right.
Well, and that's the problem with having platforms be those judges.
Exactly.
Right? Right now we think it's a good thing for Facebook to be making judgments about content, but a year from now we may not feel the same way depending upon
what they're
the way
judging.
The winds blow.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, hard to know. You know, I mean, it's, yeah. I actually have to go too because I have a call coming up that I have to get ready for. So good to see you guys.
It's 3 minutes till, so why don't we wrap this up anyway? And Dan, I'll see you at 4 o'clock your time.
You will, although I will tell you that I am still not able to make it work on any of my browsers. So
Really?
we can have a conversation about that.
Okay, well, so I mean, when you try to go to that room, nothing happens?
It get a little spinning dot. I can show you on Zoom.
Okay. I got to try this with somebody who has Windows then.
Yeah, maybe rope Chip in.
Yeah, I'm free to play with something if you want to play.
All right, I'll let you know. It's called Spatial. It's a virtual meeting. It's kind of like Zoom, except it's more 3D. More
I
like
love
being
the cat.
Yeah, I love the cat. That's on a loop. It's either on a loop or a very tired cat.
Sorry. So spatial.
So okay, yeah. Let's skip it, Dan, and I'll tell them you're on a Mac and see if that's got something to do with it.
Yeah, actually. Well, then while you're here, I'll just show you. I'll take
with the link that I sent you, huh?
Yeah. So where is it? Oh God, too many windows.
It works in the Oculus Quest and the Oculus Rift and the HTC, however you pronounce it, Vive 5. So it's made for virtual reality, but it also works in augmented reality. And if you can't do that, it'll work on your computer screen. But I was in a meetup that they held for new users. It was pretty amazing.
Hey, host has disabled screen sharing. If you can just give that to me.
Oh, yeah, hang on. Go for it.
Okay. So yeah. So here, let's see. This is. Come on, Chrome. Where are you?
It's there somewhere.
Come on. Oh, here we go. Oh, it was right in front of me. So this is what I'm seeing. And I've tried that. I've logged into Spatial. I've logged into just my Spatial account. And I've also logged into the room you gave me, both of them. And all I see is I get the login. I go through the login and then I get this. And I've tried it on 2 different computers using, well, now I'm up to,
so it's not just going into the room I created.
No, I've also just tried logging into my regular account there that I set up.
Okay.
And I've tried it in Chrome, Firefox, and Safari on 2 different computers.
Let me send them back a support reply and see what they say.
Okay.
Both the computers are Macs.
Both computers are Macs, and they're both running the latest, Catalina, whatever. So
let me if just 1 second, I can show you what this looks like.
Well, I'm actually hosting the call that's starting now, so I better go.
Okay, I'll show it.
Show Chip. He'll be happy.
I'll show Chip.
And Tim.
And
maybe
Tim.
They'll both be excited. I would be excited too if I could do it. Bye.
Bye, Dan.
Let's see. See, I want to go into this space. I won't keep you guys while I monkey with this.
That's okay. I'm setting up an account because, hey, it's a new toy.
Yeah, spatial.io.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll solve this on our own.
I mean, I got in without any spinny stuff. I'd created my own room.
Do you have a Quest VR headset?
No.
Or a Rift?
Oh, this looks like Second Life.
Yeah, it is a lot like that, except what it does is it takes a picture of your head and then manages to do 3D on that. You can pick whether you want a male or a female body. And you can sit at a table and look at a model. People can pick it up and turn it around and blow it up. They were telling me at this meetup that they've got a real estate developer who's used buildings where you can blow it up so large you can walk in and look at a room, and you can shrink it down so small it'll go on a tabletop and they can talk about the facade. Really pretty remarkable. Yeah, I don't know why I can't seem to open the room right now, but.
Well, you may have just changed my son's life. He's pretty much wiped out. He's in the concert lighting business. So he's full of 3D imaging and so on, but he's got nowhere to apply it. This might be something he could pick up.
So, well, I don't know why I'm having a problem. I was just in it yesterday without any trouble. Oh, well. Anyway, Chip, when I get it figured out, I'll drop you a note. We'll find a time to work and maybe we could give it a try.
Yeah, that's fine. And I've got a Mac too, so I can always check and just make sure it's not account driven.
Yeah, that would be interesting if it's not Dan.
Right.
Yeah. Or if it is just Dan.
I can't imagine it's all Macs. I mean that.
Yeah, if you get a minute to see what happens when you go into it on your Mac, let me know before I send them a support question.
Yeah, I'll log into it right now because my next call is not till 3. So
okay, all right. Well, let's wrap this up because I got to get back to work.
Cool. Thanks,
Talk
guys.
to y'all next week.